It is biologically impossible to have a true menstrual period while you are pregnant. Menstruation occurs when the body sheds the lining of the uterus, a process that happens when there is no pregnancy. So this shedding of lining can only happen when there is no pregnancy, and once there is pregnancy involved, there is no need for shedding of lining because it can affect the growing uterus. Once a fertilized egg is implanted inside the uterine lining, the body begins to produce hormones to maintain the pregnancy, and the menstruation cycle stops. However, many women report bleeding during pregnancy, which can sometimes be mistaken for a period. So you don't need to mistake that. Causes of bleeding during pregnancy. Understanding the differences between menstrual bleeding and that of pregnancy related bleeding is very important for you to clarify when something is about to happen to your pregnancy. So there are various causes of this which I will discuss in today's video. The first one is implantation bleeding. This happens during the early stages of pregnancy, around 6 to 12 days after conception. Some women experience light spotting. This is also known as implantation bleeding, which occurs when a fertilized egg attaches to the uterine wall. The bleeding is usually lighter than a period, pink or brown in color, and lasts for a few hours and days. Hormonal changes. Some women experience light spotting or bleeding during this time. They could have had their period, especially in the early pregnancy. This can happen due to hormonal fluctuations, and although it might resemble a period, it is not the same. Such bleeding is usually lighter and shorter than a normal period. The next one is cervical irritations. During pregnancy, increased blood flow to the cervix can make it more sensitive. As a result, activities such as sexual intercourse or pelvic exam can lead to light bleeding or spotting. This is harmless and usually stops on its own without any medical evaluation. Subchorionic hematoma. Subchorionic hematoma occurs when blood collects between the uterine wall and the chorionic membrane, which can cause light to moderate bleeding. In most cases, this resolves on its own, but it's important to consult your doctor if this occurs. The next one is miscarriages. Bleeding in pregnancy can be a sign of a miscarriage, especially if it's accompanied by cramping or pain. A miscarriage typically occurs in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy, and the bleeding can range from light to spotting to a heavy bleeding similar to that of a period. If miscarriage is suspected, it's important you talk with your doctor. Ectopic pregnancy. An ectopic pregnancy occurs when a fertilized egg is implanted outside the uterus, most commonly in the fallopian tubes. This can cause bleeding, abdominal pain, and discomfort. Ectopic pregnancies are a medical emergency and requires immediate treatment. It's important you consult your doctor immediately. Placental issues. In the later stages of pregnancy, bleeding can be a sign of placental issues, such as a placenta previa, that is when the placenta covers the cervix, or placenta abruption, when the placenta detaches from the uterus. Both conditions require a medical attention, and it's important you consult your doctor immediately. Differences between period and pregnancy bleeding. timing. The period occur regularly once every menstrual cycle, typically every 28 days, while bleeding during pregnancy can occur at any point in time and does not follow a pattern. That's when you know that it is wrong. It comes suddenly. The next one is the flow. Menstrual period is involved like a heavy flow that lasts 3 to 7 days. But pregnancy-related bleeding, on the other hand, is usually lighter and may last a shorter time. That's when you know that this is not a normal menstrual bleeding. Color. Menstrual blood is typically bright red and at the start and turns darker as it flows decreases. But pregnancy-related bleeding can range from pink or brown to a lighter bright red, but is usually lighter in color than a normal menstrual blood. So, any bleeding during pregnancy should be reported to a healthcare provider to rule out any complications. Don't ignore any bleeding in pregnancy. While lighter spotting can be harmless, heavy bleeding or bleeding accompanied by pain, cramping or dizziness could be evaluated immediately. Ensure you consult your doctor anytime you feel unusual changes while pregnant, especially bleeding. So if this video has added value to you, don't forget to subscribe to this video, like this video, comment on it and share to your family and friends and loved ones. Thank you for joining me in today's video and see you in my next video. Bye.